Hey, thank you for watching this webinar or video that I've put together. I've been in the real estate industry. I've been a real estate agent and broker for most of my adult life. I know the industry extremely well. Uh, I've seen the 1980s, in the early 1980s, before Reagan was president, uh, a disaster with the real estate industry. Interest rates during the Jimmy Carter administration about 18%, some a little higher. There was some creative things going on back at that time with owner financing, trust deeds and notes and paper and VA loans. You could actually assume a VA loan or a FHA loan with a pulse rate. You didn't have to qualify or anything. So there was a lot of that going on back at that time too, that actually saved some of the real estate agents, uh, backs, because they could have transactions that way with assumable loans and so forth. But through the years, I have noticed that there's a lot of real estate agents that really don't put anything aside for the future. They don't have any residual income coming in at all. And as real estate agents and brokers, we understand this industry so well that we're overlooking a lot of the opportunities that come our way when it comes to residual income. So I'd like to just share with you different ways that we all can benefit from the industry that we're in. You can make more money as a broker. There's different types of residual incomes that we can benefit from as real estate agents and also associate brokers and brokers. We can make more. You can make more than your broker can. You can have rental properties. You can have paper secured by real estate, and also one that I like very well is a non-financial instrument that creates a lot of residual income. But there's one thing to know is, you can make more than your broker by becoming a branch broker. You can make quite a bit of money that way, but you can make a lot more if you open up your own brokerage and you have leverage over your agents. Here's a typical brokerage here. A principal, broker of two brokerages. Of course, both brokerages would have to have a branch broker in order to make this work. But this example here, two brokerages, you're going to have your top producing agents in any brokerage. And usually that's your top two tiers in your brokerage. These agents they have systems in place. They're actually following a day-by-day routine of processes and systems that allow them to be the top producers in any brokerage. And it's really not the brokerage that is outstanding. It's the agents. You can take a top producing agent from any brokerage and put them in another brokerage, and that brokerage will shine. So as a real estate broker, principal broker, you can make money off of the work that all your other agents are making. So typically, as a real estate principal broker, if you had two brokerages, one on your left side and one on your right side, you could actually focus your attention on recruiting. That's all you do all day long is recruit, 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 recruit. And you bring in these agents, and hopefully you're going to have some top producers. But the name of the game with making more than your broker is to open up your own brokerage, actually. And if you want to make a lot of money, then your goal is to recruit, recruit, recruit. Because as you recruit and bring people into your two different brokerages, your two different branch brokerages, one on your right side and one on your left side. You can eventually pull in agents that are going to do extremely well. You're also going to pull in agents that are not going to sell anything. They're there just because they took their got their real estate license and they hopped on board thinking that it was going to be a great career, but they haven't sold a darn thing. They haven't listed anything, and they eventually fade away, and you no longer see them in the industry anymore. That holds true with anything, actually. It holds true with beauty salons. Hundreds and hundreds of people go through the beauty salon course. They take their test and they become a licensed beautician, so they can do hair. And if you look in that industry, it's no different than the real estate industry, that there's a lot of people who get into it and they just don't do anything with it. And it's not that they are lazy or anything like that. They just don't know systems. They have to have systems in place in order to make it work. Whether it's the real estate industry, in fact, even if it's network marketing, you see a lot of these network marketing companies out there, and there's a few that are making good money, but it's because they have systems in place. So real estate brokerages are no different. They have systems, and the principal broker and the branch broker on your right side and left side, your two different branch brokers, implement those systems so that the real estate agents can be successful. But there's a lot of real estate agents, like I've mentioned before, they won't do anything with it. They won't sell a single thing. But they might sell to a family member or a cousin or something like that, and then they're out of the industry. And usually what happens is, and I've seen this, and I'm sure all of you real estate agents and brokers have seen this too, they have the excuses where they say, well, real estate's just not for me. I'm not the salesman type. I'm really not capable of doing this. And they usually say that after the fact. They say that after they quit. But if they just follow the examples of all the other top producing agents and follow what they're doing and copy them with exactness, with a routine, then they're going to be pretty successful. And then as the real estate broker, you collect a good residual income from these other two branches that are producing income for you. So you might have a real estate brokerage in northern Utah, and you might have a real estate brokerage in St. George, both with principal brokers or branch brokers operating that company. So that's one way that you as a real estate agent or an associate broker can make more money than your broker, and that's opening up your own brokerage. So keep that in mind. That's one way of having a residual income coming in for quite a while. As a principal broker, you could probably retire, and your branch brokers will continue to follow the systems that you've created as a team, and you'll still be making a residual income as that principal broker. You may want to go on vacation, and you can do so without having to worry about coming back to a bunch of listings that you're in charge of individually, or dealing with a buyer during a whole month looking at different properties. The principal broker can just take off and go when you want and when you please. So that's one way of creating residual income as a real estate agent or an associate broker. Open up your own brokerage. There's another way, and a lot of you agents out there and associate brokers and principal brokers, some of you are buying rental properties, and that's a good thing too. You have to come up with some money at your closings, and if you're a top producing agent, you can put money aside and from your extra commissions and put down enough money to uh, have 20% down, and so forth. Uh, but also, if you're wanting to get rental properties, you need to understand a lot of different things. One of those is the gross rent multiplier, the net rent multiplier, and the net operating income. You need to understand behavioral management. Now, I call it behavioral management, but it's actually property management. You need to understand tenant types and so forth. You need to understand the neighborhood cycles and or the neighborhood change and how big of an effect that will be on your rental investment. So there's a lot of agents out there that kind of shoot from the hip and they want to get into investment properties. And what happens is they just end up buying anything. Usually it's a property that's a dump, and they start putting all this money into it, and it's just nickeling and diming them to death. But there's a way to buy these rental properties right the first time and have a good positive cash flow. But a lot of agents, because the interest rates are so low, they overlook other things like the net rent multiplier, the gross rent multiplier, and net operating income. They overlook those things, and in the long run, they end up with a disaster. So you need to understand these things when you buy rental properties. Loving the idea of spending your weekends and maintaining the property. That's another thing that you've got to discipline yourself to. Do you want to spend your Saturdays working on a toilet because you didn't figure out what the operating expenses were before you jumped into it? You had blinders on, you didn't understand the net rent multiplier or the gross rent multiplier or the net operating income, you didn't understand what an APOD is. So what happens is you end up spending your weekends fixing up the property when you actually shouldn't be. You should allow your APOD and your net operating income, your operating expenses work in your favor. And a lot of times real estate agents jump into a property and they think, what in the world have I done? One of the setbacks or the problems that I see with rental property, and I've been involved with rental properties for a good 34, 35 years. When you buy real estate, you cannot use those funds, extra money, to go out and buy groceries. You got to get your loan paid off, and if you're spending, if you think you have a positive cash flow, but you don't, because you got to put maybe 4%, 3% away for unforeseen things like roof repairs or furnaces that go out and things like that. But just having rental properties, you might own $1 million worth of real estate and only make off of your property management $100 a month because all the money is going back into the property, and you can pay yourself as a managing your own property, but man, it's rough. So even if you're involved in rental properties, you have to understand a whole lot of different things. But there is a better way to reoccurring income. There's a better way of actually getting residual income other than rental properties. Rental properties, 30 years plus, it's difficult. Phone calls at night, you don't have a system in place, and it can stress you out. So rental properties is one of the ways of having residual income, but you're going to work yourself to death, especially on Saturdays, just to take care of the property or mow a lawn or fix a toilet, and it's not fun. Here's another way and this is a lot easier than having rental properties. It's a good source of residual income, but it ends after 30 years, or it ends after the note's paid off. If you look at this photo, you have the property, the trust deed, and the note. And you'll notice that the property and the trust deed has a chain or a link to it. And you'll notice that there's a padlock to that chain or link. So the property and the deed go together. They're pertinent with each other. They cannot be separated. That's why there's that padlock there. If you own real estate, you also have a deed to that real estate, and it's recorded at the courthouse. So you have the house and the deed, which makes up the real estate. Now, of course, if you have a rental property, you're going to have a note attached to that deed, or trust deed, which is attached to the property. So that note is actually the terms and conditions of the loan. And you'll notice that there's no padlock on that chain. And the reason for that is that eventually the loan will be paid off, and all you'll have left is the trust deed and the house. So you own the house by virtue of the deed. So when that loan is paid off, then you don't have a debt service on the property anymore. There's ways to create paper, and there's also ways to buy paper. But you can go to a website that I put together. It's called realestatefundingmachine.com. And I go into more detail on real estate trust deeds and notes and what they're all about. But it's a great way to be able to have a residual income. But like I say, you have a certain period of time to enjoy that residual income. It ends abruptly after, say, 30 years or whatever the length of time is of that note. But like I said, you can go to realestatefundingmachine.com, and that will explain a lot more in detail how to buy real estate trust deeds and notes, paper secured by real estate. So that's just one way of creating residual income as a real estate agent. So if you Google wraparound mortgages and also all-inclusive trust deeds, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And with a background in real estate that you have, maybe this is something that you should invest in. But when you buy paper, you also have to look at the property, because there's times when you're going to have to take the property back, a deed in lieu of foreclosure. And when you take this property back, you don't want to have it be destroyed, or you don't want a dump. So you got to, when you buy paper, you also have to go around and kick the bricks, kind of like kicking the tires on a vehicle. You got to go look at the property and see whether or not you want to buy that note. And when you do buy the note, you never want to pay full price for that note. If it's a $100,000 note, you don't want to pay $100,000 for that note. You want to buy it at a discount, maybe 30–40% discount, depending on the needs of the individual who's receiving monthly payments from that note. So check that website out again, realestatefundingmachine.com. So that's just one way. Also, there's non-financial instruments, and it's usually monthly income that's tied to a funding vehicle rather than a financial instrument, and it comes in units of principal less interest. So usually 1 unit is equal to $10,000, and 3 to 5 units of principal less interest per month in 3 to 4 or 6 years, and even 10 years without any risk can be possible. Now, I have a really good friend, Lisa. She has created 10 units of principal less interest per month in 3 to 4 years, and that's amazing. And it can be done, but she has worked her fanny off to be able to allow this to happen. But it's a residual income that has been created through a funding vehicle rather than a financial instrument, and she's doing very well. She's making 7 figures, over $1 million a year right now. And there's systems, just like the real estate brokerage, you have systems in place that allow you to generate that kind of income. And of course, everybody has to start out from the beginning point, and they move their way up based on the time that they have and so forth. But there's systems in place that you have to follow in order to recognize this residual income with this funding vehicle that creates principal less interest. Now, I just want you to know that we all need financial capital to fund our investments. There's no way of getting around it. You have to have some type of capital. You can do that with paper, real estate trust deeds and notes. You can do that with opening up your own brokerage and having a residual income coming in. And you can still go out and continue to, you can actually be a competing broker. A lot of brokerages that have 200 or 300 agents, that they're not competing brokers. They just make their income off of the backs of their agents. But you really need financial capital to fund most of your investments. I know that the majority of real estate agents have not put anything aside for the later years. So they're faced with a maze, and they just don't know where to turn, whether to take the left door or whether to take the right door. And they're just scratching their heads thinking, what do I do? I can't just keep doing real estate all the time. I need to create some type of a residual income. And every single agent and broker out there, I mean associate broker, not so much the principal broker, because they're making money off their agents, but every agent out there, they become unemployed after every single closing that they have. They put all this work in to have a closing, and when closing comes, they're just excited and all giddy and everything, and then they're living closing to closing, but they're actually unemployed after every closing. And when you have a brokerage of your own, it's kind of like an annuity coming in each month off of the all these other real estate agents. And when you're dealing with paper, real estate trust deeds and notes, you have this annuity that's created each month for you to survive. And also with this funding vehicle that I talked about with Lisa, you can have it's a lot like an annuity coming in each month that allows you to be able to have that residual income to live a better life. But I would like to talk more to you about all these different types of investments. Paper, I like real estate trust deeds and notes and the concept behind that. But there is better ways of having a residual income. You can call me anytime. That's 24 hours a day on my 1-800 number. That's 1-800-757-6598. You can call me at any time. You can also private message me on Facebook. And I'd really like to talk to you about all these different methods and encourage you to do all of them. Encourage you to get your own brokerage. Encourage you to check what paper is all about, trust deeds and notes and wraparound mortgages and all-inclusive trust deeds, and also other vehicles, funding vehicles. So again, my name is Scott Thompson. You can private message me on Facebook, and I wish you the very, very best in all of your real estate endeavors and also all of your income producing activities that will allow you to have a residual income. Make it a great day. Thank you.